Welcome to Whose Turn Is It Anyway, your board gaming podcast where we talk about cardboard, and you guessed it, even more cardboard. This is an expansion pack episode where we have Lee Miller from Molinarius Games, and just like other kind of guest episodes, we just get down to the business. We chat all about games, the genesis of the company, and much, much more. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to, well, myself, and to basically introduce Lee and get on with the show. We are here with Lee from Molinarius Games. Welcome to the show, Lee.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, great to have you. Finally, I've been wanting to do this for a while. I think ever since we met a few years ago, right? So, yes, it's really exciting to get you here in the Whose Turn studio online and having a chat about all stuff that is you. So, yeah, how we just come back from UK Games Expo, right? This literally whenever it was last week. How's that for you?
Still decompressing, as I expect most people are. My voice has returned. But yeah, we had a great UK GE, our best ever in terms of sales and kind of fun as well, and meeting people and everything else. Yeah, just gets bigger and bigger every year. But yeah, it's fantastic. Loved it. Can't wait for next year already. Yeah, nice. And for those that may not have kind of come across you, Lee, or have heard of Molinarius Games before, give them pitch. Who are you, and what is it all about? How dare they not know who we are? Yeah, so we're a UK-based in Leicestershire, small indie company. Started about 5 years ago with our first game called The Lakes, which is now in supermarkets, and we do very well, and it's a game about the Lake District. So yeah, long story short, I started the company during COVID because I was stuck in the UK, and at the time I was working in Chicago. So just something to fill my days. We decided to make a Lake District game, and it kind of took off from there, really. And then Ocean Pods came afterwards, and I thought, Kickstarter and crowdfunding looks really easy. Let's have a go at that. We'll talk about time travel later, but if I could go back in time and kick myself for doing that, I probably would, because it's not easy at all. And I think that the naiveness was great for us then, because we were able to get some games to market and just generally not worry about the pressures of the selling or anything else. We just made games that we thought were fun and people wanted to play, and we put them on Kickstarter, and then our stand got a little bit bigger at Games Expo because we had more games. And then we met Mike Peacock, who's now our director of family games, who joined the team and brought Shoal into our stable. And then Flippers this year was his second game. Nice. So yeah, in a very short space of time, what seemed to be just kind of a folly has grown into a successful business, and it's now my full-time job. And we also have, I think at this expo, we had 12 to 15 volunteers working for us doing different shifts. So yeah, it's definitely getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we've got another 3 games in the pipeline. So yeah, it's great. It's also coming from a stressful environment, work environment, to working with friends and family and kind of doing something you love is really nice at this stage of my life as well. Yeah,
mate, I completely empathise with the naivety aspect. It's the same when we started the podcast, right? It was like, yeah, we'll do it. How hard can it be? And then you actually start doing things, and you go, oh right, you got to edit these things, right? And oh right,
yeah, I've heard some of the links.
Yeah, oh my god. But I think sometimes when you're starting out, I think it's quite good to have that naivety, because sometimes if you knew sometimes how much of the the hard work it actually is, it could probably put you off from even starting. So actually just getting going. I'm a big believer on fail fast anyway, as a kind of concept. So just start, just get going, just learn, and you will learn through the pain of it half the time. But then it gets better, right? And then you get it's more familiar. So
we were really lucky as well, because I met one of the first people I met was Chris Prescott from Unfringed.
Our friend Chris, yeah.
And then he introduced me to a Discord group where there was lots of other people who are in the same boat, and there's quite a few of us now on that Indie UK Publishers group. And that was a wealth of knowledge, because every mistake that could be made, someone had made it in that group and was able to point out good people. So if there are any game designers just starting out listening, then I would definitely say find a support group, because that was invaluable.
Definitely. Cool. So we'll probably circle back with a little bit of Molinarius in a second, but I want to know more about you as Lee, the board gamer, and how did you get in the hobby? And how long ago did you get in the hobby? Was it kind of a recent-ish thing, or have you been board game, tabletop gaming for many, many, many years before?
I tabletopped a lot when I was younger, like most people, and then kind of at university fell away a little bit when I was like, oh, not everyone's as geeky as I am. So I reinvented myself a little bit to be like, I was going to say to be cool, but that's never been the case. But to be less geeky than I am now. And then, nobody wanted to play Risk for like 7 hours. So then naturally, as you know, you hit your 20s and you start work and everything else, I just lost contact with it, and I moved around a lot, as I said, for work. And then Mark, who you met, who did your demo of Time Troopers this week, he kind of said, look, I'm quite into gaming. Do you fancy coming around and playing Catan? And I'd never heard of Catan, and this was maybe 10 years ago now. And from that moment, it was like instantly being transported back to being a kid. Yeah. And I know it's a kind of a cliche gateway game, Catan, but it's a cliche for a reason. It was just a perfect kind of easy game to get me back into the hobby. And then I think that weekend I went and bought a Catan and then made my wife play it with me. And then 3 or 4 Kallax units later, it's kind of like everyone else.
Grows out of control.
I remember my wife saying, is your hobby playing games or collecting games? And I was like, I think there's a bit of both in there. So it got out of hand very quickly, but it was great, and I loved it. And also because I was in such a corporate world and spending a lot of time on laptops and traveling, the disconnect from a TV screen and then the tactile nature of touching components and interacting with someone over a tabletop, whereas I guess years ago we'd have been doing that over the dinner table, but increasingly people don't eat dinner at their dinner table anymore. So I just love the social side of it as well. It gave us an excuse to get together, and now every Sunday my 2 brothers, myself and Mark get together and play games on a Sunday, and it's nice. I can go all week and not really talk to people. I know others can as well if we're like head down working all week. So I love it. So to answer your question, I played a lot when I was younger, then none through my 20s, and then got really back into it through the last 10 years.
Nice one. So the hardest question that everyone can never answer, well, usually, is if you had to pick one game as your favourite of all time, what is it? What is your game of choice?
So I'm on record quite a lot with this one. It's Battlestar Galactica.
Awesome game.
Yeah, and for a few reasons. One, it's my favourite sci-fi franchise as well. The mechanics of the game are great, and also you don't get casual gamers playing Battlestar Galactica. No. You can't just like go, oh yeah, I'll have a game. You can't just jump in. You need to know how it works. And I think I have kind of a spot where people... One of my critical traits is I feel like you should have to work to enjoy something, and like most geeks, you have to you find the grains of beauty in things because you know the backstories of characters and you know things. So when little Easter eggs pop up, you appreciate them, and I think that Battlestar Galactica game is so great because you've earned it and you understand the rules and everything else. Yeah. So there's a ton of other games I've played recently which are great. I really liked Nemesis when that first came out. I thought that was fantastic and played that to death. But Battlestar Galactica. And also because you just can't play every week. It's impossible. Yeah. So when you do play it, it's fantastic every time. It never lets you down.
It's like an event game, isn't it? It's like, we in our group, we've had some good history with BSG. And actually, like Unfathomable's come out to, I could put air quotes, replace it. But for me, it doesn't. It doesn't replace it. Even though mechanically, I could probably argue it is superior, right, mechanically. But it's not BSG. I love BSG for the fact that it is how it is. And and the theme just does it for me more than Mr. Wibbly Tentacle Face,
Yeah. And the fact it's out of print and I make all my friends wear white gloves, and there's no drinks on the table or anything like that when we get it all out. So, yeah, it's like a theatre of playing. Yeah,
yeah, we're in a kind of an airtight seal with these suits. It's like a crime scene.
But it's hard to have a favourite game because obviously it depends what mood you're in.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my default choice.
It can change, can't it? For sure. Yeah, mine does all the time. So you said that you do your kind of weekly games on a Sunday. So what's been the game of choice for the last 3 or 4 Sundays? What's been hitting the table?
We've been playing a lot of Witcher recently.
Oh, okay, the old world.
Yeah, so that's been to the table, I think 3 weeks in a row.
Nice.
But we've been playing Overs, which is a cricket game.
Oh, right, I've not heard of that one.
It's fantastically fun. So it's kind of the bowler plays a card, and then the batter plays a card, and it's obviously a bluff and counter bluff, and you get there's 8 possible bowls and 8 possible bats, but obviously 6 in an over. So the more the bowler plays, the more the batsmen know what type of ball they're going to play. So obviously certain batting strokes will do better against certain bowling strokes. So yeah, really simple game. I think it's Maitland Games. Fantastically easy to play, but a lot of fun. So we've been playing that, and Dragon Eclipse I've been playing a ton of, which just came out recently from Awakened Realms. It's kind of like Pokemon-y style adventure game, which I backed on Kickstarter. And Mark bought a Cronky Hole board, so we've been playing some of that as well. Nice. And a lot of old school games. Shards of Infinity we were playing recently, which you can't go wrong. Just looking at seeing what else. We've just been playing some Lords of Hellas, Cult Express. Mark won't play Ark Nova, so we've not been playing that. That's kind of it really. Just everything.
Anything and everything you can get your hands on and just escape for a Sunday. Sounds perfect.
Yeah. Nice. We're not snobby about games, but anything really.
Yeah, it's just anything you find fun, right? So cool. That sounds cool. So let's circle back then to a bit of Molinarius then. So you said that you set that up obviously during COVID. So what was the kind of genesis of the idea? Like you said, you were at home a lot and you just thought you'd found a board game company. I mean, was this something that's been sitting with you for even before COVID as ideas, or was it literally just come out of nowhere?
Definitely, it just came out of nowhere.
So amazing.
I was finance director prior to that, and so I do think I do have a good eye for business. And so we were in the Lake District playing this game that I mentioned that I kind of invented because there was no Lake District game, just with beer mats, me and my wife.
Yeah.
And I think I've told this story before, but 3 or 4 people would come up to the table and go, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, we've made a little game about the Lake District in the pub." And they were like, "Oh, can we play?" And then the next year I took a really crude prototype just for me and my wife to enjoy. It wasn't there's a business here.
Yeah.
But then again, after the 50th person over the week had said, "Oh, this looks really good," I did think to myself, maybe there's a business here. And just out of curiosity more than anything else, I was interested in profit margins and how it would work and manufacturing trade and everything else. So I kind of looked into it and thought, we could do this just for a bit of fun and do a Kickstarter. And I approached Mark because that was the stage where obviously we'd been playing a lot of games. Mark was like, let's do it. And so Molinarius was born. My brother did the artwork for it. He was a graphic designer. My other brother helped playtest it and write the instructions, and that's why the company is called Molinarius Games, because it's Latin for Miller, which is all of our surnames.
I was going to ask you that, and I didn't make the connection. So there you go.
Because Miller Games was already taken. So it was very much a family thing.
Nice.
And it kind of that was it really. Not a huge exciting story, but if I could go back in time now, we would have done things completely different because we made so many mistakes, which made the game more expensive than it needed to be. And we in our second edition, we made the cards squarer. We just, once we'd been in the industry 2-3 years, we realized, okay, it was embarrassing what we probably put out that first edition. But at the same time, it's part of the learning curve.
Yeah. it was part of your journey, really. And like you say, if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have learned those lessons. Maybe, and people getting it right first time as much as they're probably the finance guy and you thinking, God damn it, I could have got a better margin. But generally, yeah, everything happens for a reason in that way. So your company's probably stronger for it.
Yeah,
because you've gone through those things. So your
and
future files won't ever go through those things.
And I was kind of like, I'll do this for a year and we'll make a little bit of money and it'll just like pay my way until I find another job. And then that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, still doing it. I love it. I love the fact you've turned this into full time. That's just such an amazing story, right? Where something that's your hobby that you've enjoyed, and now you can do that, and your friends and family are a part of that. So actually, it must be. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have stressful times because it will be work in places, but it must be a nice feeling, right? To kind of go, this is my job. How cool is this?
Yeah,
This is cool.
and it is cool, but yeah, there are times when I'm like, oh, it's when it's the Thursday and I'm loading up the van to drive to the UK Games Expo, and I know that everyone's going to be having a fantastic time, and I'm going to be there till midnight and everything else. But of course, there's that in every job. But then I think back to how 3 weeks out of every 4 I was traveling all over Europe and the US and never saw my friends or my family, whereas my work-life balance now is fantastic. But also I've met a huge community that I would never have met if I'd stayed in finance. And it is the best. The board game community is just full of nice people. But it took me a little while to realize that people are genuinely nice, because in the cutthroat world I was in, it was like everyone would stab you in the back to step up the ladder. And I was like, why is everyone being nice to me? What's in it for them?
Agenda here.
Yeah. So that side of it is the social side of it, and the meeting the new people from the community is also a huge kind of boost for me, not just financially, but also kind of, it's a nicer industry to be in, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So we kind of met, and you mentioned this Discord group, right? So when we met, what is it, 3 years ago? I think you messaged me, didn't you, on whatever social media app it was? I can never remember. And you said, "Oi, we're at Expo. It'd be great to." I think you found we were doing like little mini interviews, and I don't think we were press at the time. We didn't have press passes, but we were just trying to dabble, just again get a bit of experience, because at that time we were kind of in our infancy as a podcast, and it's something that we aspire to kind of get proper press passes and start doing this thing properly. So we was like, absolutely, we'll come back around your store, this ragtag group of people. And I think you mentioned that because we already had a link with Chris. So, and Chris had, obviously you guys had spoke and said, get these guys. They're just doing like interviews and stuff and whacking it on social media. So that's kind of how we met. And I always love catching up with you guys. That's like, as you always put one of my little checklists at Expo. Like, I've got to catch up with Lee and the team. Always, what's going on? How's it going? And this has kind of led us to going, wow, what's this new game that you've got in? And I think you kind of teased it because you know my kind of love of the theme of time travel. And I always said there should be more time travel in board games, which is why I like Anachrony. It's why I like any film with time traveling or anything like that. I'm in. I'm like, this sounds cool. So and then we kind of wandered to your stall, I think last year, and we went, what is this game? What's it all about? So of course I'm talking about Time Troopers, but give me the spiel. This is your pitch now, Lee.
Okay.
What is Time Troopers? And for those that are trying to imagine when I kind of turned up to your stall last year, what would they expect? What is it?
Well, when you appeared at our stall last year, you would have seen the 8-foot octagon time gate that was sagging amazing. Slightly because the glue was getting hot. Like a Stargate to walk through that gate into our stand. So, Time Troopers. I know this is going out hopefully when we're already on Gamefound. So at the time of listening, hopefully Time Troopers is a fully funded game on Gamefound, which is a solo deck building game. I say deck building in as much as it's a campaign mission. So you're deck building over a whole campaign. So there's close to 500 cards in the box, and you'll start with a deck of 24. So by the time you work your way through the campaign, you will have replaced or upgraded a lot of your cards as you're unlocking them, secret missions as you're going along. But the crux of the game is very much it's a solo campaign mission where you're going back in time to steal artifacts from ancient civilizations. These artifacts are rich in a dark energy which will power the time gate itself. And we need to power that time gate to fix things in the future, like global warming, famine, American presidents putting tariffs on my products, that kind of that kind of thing.
Topical.
Yeah, sorry. It's like, have I got news for you all of a sudden?
I love it. Carry on.
So yeah, there's a rival faction called the Scorpions. They're going back in time through their time gate as well to stop you from doing that, because they're mercenaries from rich people in the future who want to stop you from doing that. So you have this wonderful paradox of you are playing a mission in ancient Egypt, and all of the deck of cards you're playing against will be ancient Egypt. This is probably the best artwork we've ever done on any of our games. It's absolutely phenomenal.
It looks fantastic. I have to say, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, and it's taken us a long time because we don't have any AI in our commercial products at all. So to have 500 cards, and the majority of them, I think 460 of them, have unique art, it's taken us ages to get all of that done. So you end up with this paradox of you'll be in ancient Egypt playing against an ancient Egyptian deck, and then with the turn of a card, some like robots from the future can jump into ancient Egypt and try and stop you achieving your goals. So yeah, it's a story campaign. As I say, each mission lasts about 45 minutes. There's a ton of different things you'll need to achieve. So for instance, it's not just combat. There's, as you know, you've demoed it, sneaking and stealthing and riding horses at one point across the Mongolian desert. And, 1 minute you're in a temple, 1 minute you're in a Viking rowing boat. So yeah, I would say people who like immersive campaign games, that each mission will last about 45 minutes. This is something they should check out.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of game to it. There's 8 different time zones, and each one has at least 3 missions, depending on what choices you make. Because in the campaign book as well, you also have kind of choose your own adventure elements to it. So we could both play the Time Troopers. We'd both start and end at the same point, but we'd have completely different journeys of how we get there, unlockable content, etc., etc. So it would be a different experience. So yeah, I think it's a game that we want to play. And that was the key behind this, is when I was talking earlier about jumping into making games, this is not the first game you ever make, because it's very technical. There's a lot going on in there. But also it was the idea that I always had in the back of my mind, and Mark as well. And so once we'd cut our teeth on a few games, we were like, let's do it. But it's taken us 3 years to produce this. But we're very proud of it, and I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, you should be proud of it. I mean, it's definitely getting a lot of buzz from not just ourselves, that we kind of talked about it last year, our first experiences, but other content creators out there that have kind of had those demos at Expo and had that experience, and obviously they've just had a little tiny slither of the game, right? Because you can't spoil it. It's like, here's everything. Let me show you everything. You want to keep some stuff secret.
That's the hardest part. Is I just want to show everyone everything and all the cool bits, because it's like the marketing guy in me is like, show them how cool everything is, and I'm like, no, it'll be cooler when the game's released, and then some people will be playing it, and then it's like doing a movie trailer, doing a demo at the moment. Is how I've been describing it to Mark, is just tease people, but don't give away too many secrets. Yeah,
absolutely, because you want them to experience it themselves. So, yeah, this obviously feels as a title, a kind of a bigger production, a bigger focus. So, obviously, you mentioned this is something you've been wanting to do, but as you say, starting with that as your first game is it could have been a huge risk, because who knows where it would have gone with what you knew at the time. So, is this something we can expect from Molinarius moving forward? Games the size of Time Troopers, these bigger, kind of grander titles.
I think so. Bringing Mike on board, Mike Peacock, who's a fantastic, talented designer, as you know, who did Shoal and Flippers. Yeah. But what he's also been able to do is he's really interested in the industry as well. So he just doesn't want to sit back and collect commission checks. He wants to be involved, which is why he's on the stand all the time, demoing and helping grow Molinarius. So appointing him the director of Family Games has meant that he can take some of the reins away from from Mark and I, and almost split the company in. Well, we have split the company in half. So we have a blue division and a black division now. So we will have these family games, which are fantastic and great and are our core.
Yeah.
But it also means that we can take swings and make risks on the bigger box games, more sci-fi, more gamer games in inverted commas, like Time Troopers. But of course, the run rate will be completely different. We might make a Time Troopers every 3 years because of the level of investment and time, everything else that's required.
Yeah.
But we can do that knowing that Mike's got a handle on the blue division as well. So as we're growing, we can service 2 completely different customer bases.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's quite exciting. We would have probably done Time Troopers quicker, but obviously I'm having to focus a lot on the admin side of things of business as well. So now we're growing, and Mike and Marcus are doing a lot more work. It just means that the games like Time Troopers will come out more frequently in the future.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So you mentioned Time Troopers is a solo experience. So what kind of led you to, I'm going to kind of craft this game for the solo player? Because there's always a decision there, which is, I always think it's a brave decision. But I think these days there's a lot more solo only experience and games out there. And I think it's great because the solo market is bigger than many people, can probably know, especially outside the hobby. In the hobby, they're like, most board games have solo modes. Some of them, as we know, aren't great and they're tacked on, but some are absolutely fantastic. But when you craft the game from the ground up with solo play in mind, I always think there's something quite special about that, because you're kind of imagining that player, being there at the table, and you want to give them the best experience that they can. So what led you to that decision? And rather than going, actually, you can play on your own, but you can also play with friends.
Yeah, as I say, we started this about 3 years ago, and even going back 3 years ago, there were not that many solo-only games on the market there. They are growing, but so I like to play solo games, but most solo games are a solo mode of a functioning game, which I think you touched on.
Yeah.
And it always feels for me as though it's tacked on to something. It's an afterthought. And I'm not criticizing anyone there, because obviously the crux of the game, if we take a game like Ark Nova, which I know whose turn is it anyway, love. If you take that game, then that's not been designed to be a solo game, but obviously they've tacked on a solo mode, and the same with Wingspan and Automas and things like that. So it scratches an itch for a solo player, but it's not done in mind with a solo player. So what I wanted to do was design a solo only game that I would want to play, and we had 3 kind of. We wrote down on a piece of paper when we were brainstorming, Mark and I, what we wanted. And it had to be quick and easy to set up. It had to be completely immersive. Otherwise, the solo experience is... Sometimes I've played solo games where I feel like I'm just doing admin rather than actually enjoying the game. So ISS Vanguard is a game that I really, really love, but I got to a point of I'm just putting things in folders. This is like being a secretary or something. So yeah, and then the kind of third thing was it has to be written for the solo player to enjoy themselves, like thinking about someone sat at a table on a Wednesday night. They've got an hour to spare. I always say the Love Island test. I've said this millions of times. While someone else in their house is watching Love Island or whatever it is on TV for an hour, they've got an hour to kill. Get it out, set it up in 5 minutes, play it in 45 minutes, love it, pack it away, doesn't live on the dining table, then it goes back on the shelf. And it's, talking about naivety, it's incredibly rare to start with, this is how we want the game to be set up, rather than these are the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's good to build yourself a cage. So, because then the choices all have to fit into those parameters. In every decision we make, it had to fit that criteria. Is it immersive? Okay, we could do loads of minis, but then is that going to make it harder or easier to pack up and pack away and those kind of things? So yeah, we set the solo, we started to write it deliberately as a solo only game. And I think it was Mark who said, this is like a computer game that someone's printed out onto cards was how he described it, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of the vibe we're going for. Like you can play on the PlayStation or whatever for 45 minutes, and then switch it off, and then you're done. You're back to your family without it living all on the dining room table and everything. So yeah, that was a decision we deliberately made, and I think it actually helped us in the design process.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like I one of the games I've got, and you probably see it right behind me, which doesn't help our listeners, but it's Hoplomachus Victorum, right, which is somewhere back there. And I really enjoy Hoplo Victorum as a game. Have you heard of it? Have you played it?
I haven't heard of it. No,
it's basically Gladiator, the board game, right? And the idea is you're kind of a gladiator from a kind of imaginary region based on the world, Atlanteans and different places there, and you go around traveling and have arena fights and battles and things like that. And it's super immersive, but the barrier always for that game for me is, right, I'm going to play that tonight. Okay, cool. Got set up. Right, setup's about good half hour. So half hour of me getting that, rolling all the stuff, neoprene, and because it's Chip Theory Games production, it's neoprene and chips and everything. And okay, good, we're set up. Now I've got to play it, and it's 4 acts in the game. Each act takes 3 hours. So you then go through it, and honestly, by the end of it, I'm like, oh, God, and it's good, but it's a lot. Yeah. And to then fit that in, as you say, with family, and I've got 2 kids and stuff like that. So that means either I'm leaving that on the table, or I'm going to have to try and cram that in on a Sunday afternoon or something, which means it just takes me away for pretty much a whole afternoon. And if you've got the time for that, there's a great experience in that box. But a lot of people, most people don't. And I'll tell you, the last time I played Hot Play was a year or 2 years ago, and probably says, I probably should get rid of it, because when am I going to get time to play it, even though I do enjoy it? So I think the fact that your game in Time Troopers is that 5 minutes, you're in.
Yeah.
Pick up where you left off, bang, and you can kind of get the scenario done in the hour, bang, and finish it, done. Get back to life,
And setting it up that way, so as we were designing the mission book, it just meant that we numbered all of the cards, and then all the cards go into the insert in order that you're going to need them for the different missions. So it's very quick and easy to get the little mini packs of cards out.
Yeah.
And just little touches like that mean it's 5 minutes to set up maximum, which is great. And I don't think solo games will ever replace playing with your friends, because that's the coolest thing in the world for me.
100%.
But it does scratch an itch, like I say, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night where it's raining, there's nothing to do. Either you've got an hour to yourself, or you're looking after the kids, or whatever it is, or you've got an hour off work, whatever it is, you can squeeze a game of this in and enjoy it, and then put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
But I think it's also very so immersive that you'll love it as well, which is key for us.
Nice, cool. So for those listeners who are going, I am piqued with my interest. Time travel, yes, I'm in. Solo experience, I'm in. And I want to learn more about the kind of mechanics and how this works. Like, could you bring to life, obviously not spoiling anything, but maybe something of the first scenario, but can you bring to life kind of how it works mechanically? Like, what am I doing as a player specifically? And also how time is used or utilized within the game? Because, my brain, time travel, what apart from going back in time, how can I use it and abuse it?
Yeah, so as well as timing and the theme, we've also built into mechanics, so it laps together perfectly. So you'll be able to go onto Gamefound and watch all of the videos and download the rule books and everything else. If you're interested, then I would definitely say head over to Gamefound and have a look. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the car, obviously don't do that. So yeah, how it works is there's your local phase, your Time Trooper phase, and then an event phase. So very, very easy to play. I would say similar to Marvel Champions or an Arkham Horror in style of play, with a campaign storybook. So your troopers come through the gate, and you have to use time. So time is the currency in the game. So kind of like Shards of Infinity, where you're collecting the crystals or whatever it is. You have time vials, which are your currency in the game. And you can spend that time to do actions. You're also battling or stealthing or sneaking past what we call the locals, which are the time locals. So that could be Vikings, it could be samurais, it could be dinosaurs. You mentioned gladiators. We have a gladiator level.
Nice.
So yeah, there's tons of stuff in there. I don't want to give too much away.
No.
When the locals are taking their turn, obviously different characters have different abilities. So Genghis Khan might do something completely different from Cleopatra, depending on what era you are in. But if there's a dice roll you don't like, it's not a problem because you're a time trooper. So you can rewind time by spending a time token and re-roll a dice.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the more you do that, if you're unlucky, the more re-rolls you choose to do, the less time you'll have available to do actions and bring characters into play. So there's this wonderful trade-off of resource management as well. You can also see into the future. So at the top of the laid out cards, there's an event deck, which is nothing new in games. We all have event phases, but these have 3 possible timelines that you'll fall down. So right at the start of every round, you'll see what the 3 possible events are going to be, and which timeline you'll follow by rolling a timeline dice. And again, if you roll a 3 and you're like, I don't want to roll a 3 because a sandstorm's going to happen and that will mean I can't complete this mission. So again, you can spend currency to rewind time and re-roll that game. So you can rewind time and you can see into the future. There's a lot of cards which come out as well, which will kind of engine building cards. So you can go through your discard pile and bring someone back to life, or rewind something and undo your last turn, or see into the future and look at the enemy deck and that kind of thing. So time is very much built into the mechanics of the game, as well as it just being the theme, which I think is important. We've all played games where it just feels like there's a skin pasted over the top of a mechanic. I'm not mentioning any games in particular, but
no, but we know what they are.
So yeah, there's a lot to do here, and it just feels immersive. It feels right when you're playing the game because the mechanics are built into the theme.
That saved my ass a few times on the event dice because, I was like, one of these is really, really bad. Like 2 of them I could weather and get around, but one of them, please don't be that. You roll it. And it's like, but I've got some time. I can do it. So I re-rolled it again. Boosh, got the different one I wanted, moved on. And the fact that you say it is that resource, do I want to hold it back? Accept my fate, knowing that my next hand of characters is a good 5-time cost character. I really want him on the board because he's tough and he's going to kick some ass. Versus, what do I do? So it's really kind of ramps up the tempo in the game because obviously the game and the scenario is just trying to win against you and stop you. So
it's been great doing the demos and all playtesting and seeing people's different approaches as to how they deal with that, and you get people who are like, statistically I have a 66% chance of getting through, so I won't save any time, and then you're like, they failed. And then you have the overly cautious people like, let's save all of our time just in case we have a bad roll. It's which is really cool seeing the different approaches that people take.
So with the obviously the characters in the deck, so you're obviously drawing them, and they're all different and unique and have their strengths and weaknesses. Is that something you kind of thought of in the design space? So as you progress through the campaign, you kind of get to know these characters a bit more in terms of you're going to have your favorites, right? These are the ones you dependables, the ones you're like, I always rely on these guys, and will they still be there? And as the game goes on, who knows, Yeah,
so that was something which Mark is great at. So we have a very good working relationship where I'll design the game and then Mark develops it and breaks it and brings his fountain of knowledge and stuff. And so he was constantly from the get-go was like, I want to end this campaign with none of the guys except for 1 or 2 of my favorites that I choose to keep. So we need unlockable content all the way through it.
Yeah.
So you can replace your characters. In fact, sometimes you have to. So there's certain missions where if you end that mission with damage cubes on them, they get forced to go to the infirmary. So they'll miss the next mission and you have to call it replacements. There's some stuff in the mission book, which I won't go into, which forces you to remove some characters from play. And you can promote some guys as well. So you will keep the same character, but maybe an upgraded version of him because he's now a veteran. So there's all of this kind of cool thing going on. So it's virtually impossible that we would both end with the same characters, because, like you say, you might constantly be failing a mission and decide, I need a medic.
Yeah.
Whereas I might decide, okay, well, I'm not going to get a character. I'm going to get more time. So I'll increase the number of the amount of time tokens I have in my deck, and then I can handle it.
Yeah.
So it's very much your control, what you do. And there's side quests as well in the game. So the more side quests you complete, similar to like Gloomhaven, where you take the chest, or Frosthaven, you take the chest, and then it says go to the back of the book and it tells you what to do. Yeah. So there's unlocks you'll get from doing those kind of things as well. Yeah, so cool. You'll get 3 chances at each level. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you did it on the samurai level. Maybe you'll unlock a cool samurai sword which you can attach to a trooper going forward, which may be useful in some missions like the dinosaur missions, etc., where you can't fire weapons. So there's tons of stuff in that. As you can tell, I'm very excited about it. But it's cool. I just want to blurt everything out. But it's really cool.
Keep some secrets.
I know. Yeah, sorry.
Keep them. But no, it is really good fun. Like we played, I say, at Expo last year, and literally a week ago, where Rob played mainly last year, and I had a game this year, and we both had a ton of fun. And Mark did both of those demos, and you can tell Mark's incredibly passionate about this as well. He's all in with this, the theme, the way it works, and it's just lovely to see that level of passion from you guys on this product. I can know you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it and developed it over the years. To see it now being available on Gamefound right now.
Yeah, that's cool.
It must be a real humbling, like, oh, this is cool. And obviously, who knows where we will be at this time, because timey-wimey podcast release is always a bit weird. But yeah, it's you got to be proud of that, because that's awesome. And
I'm proud of the journey that's come along. And Mark's done a fantastic job with the demos, and he is enthusiastic. And he's a teacher in his day job, so he's naturally kind of good at instructions and everything else.
Yeah.
But the turning point for me was when we heard the first soundtrack from Tim Clay, who's the music producer. So as soon as we played the game with the soundtrack, that was the bit where I thought, this is going to be really cool,
I love the fact you've done that. I think you didn't need to do it. That's the thing. You didn't need to go, I'm going to put the soundtrack with the game. But I love when you kind of have that as that option to really enhance the immersion. And I'm a big fan of, sounds and background music when playing games. Because like you play a video game, you're getting all of that in, right? Because it's designed with that in mind from a visual and kind of audio perspective. But board games, it's mainly what's going on in your head and how you're imagining the things that are kind of happening in front of you per se. So yeah, one of my favorite things to do as a solo player generally is to sit there at the dining table and put the old Bluetooth speaker on and hit the play. Although usually my experience is I'm either listening to playlists that others have done, which are really good actually. Some people have really put some thought into, or I'm using if you heard of Melodice, because just go put the game in it and it just goes and finds relatable stuff. Or I've been on some really weird kind of tangents on finding different music for different things that I would have never found before. So this is kind of how it how we explored in the gaming group. Some of us playing, what was it? New Angeles. That was it. Playing New Angeles, so cyberpunky, futuristic, dystopian. So I'm thinking, right, and you're going to need something like that. And I came across a band called Gunship, right? Never heard of them. And they do kind of 80s style, kind of retro. They call it synthwave. It's a thing, like synthwave music, but it's all made like nowadays, but made to sound like it came out in the 80s,
like Blade Runner type.
Yeah. And I was like, I am digging this, and I'm loving it. And I've been listening now to all their albums and got Curly into it, and he's like, oh, this is awesome. And it's just weird how that started off with me trying to find the right music for the right play experience to be immersed in this thing. So yeah, you tell us more about it. So you've got a proper full-blown official soundtrack for the game.
Yeah, we hired a music composer, Tim Clay, who's also was at the stand. He was at UK Games Expo as well. So he's also joined the company now full time to do this, because we think music's going to play a big part in our games going forward. As you said, everyone or a lot of people, we did a few polls and a bit of investigation into this, and I think it was something like nearly 80% of people listen to music while they're playing games.
Yeah.
So that's solo players, sorry.
Yeah.
And so obviously it was a no-brainer for us to put our music to it. So whilst it's cool that people are listening to music playing games, you know what music you're listening to most of the time. So if you're playing Lord of the Rings game and you put Lord of the Rings soundtrack on, fantastic. It's perfect. But every now and again, there might be something in there that doesn't quite fit the theme, or you know what you're listening to. Whereas when you're listening to the publisher's soundtrack, you don't know what's coming next. So the Viking mission is the one I always explain because it's nice and easy too. So what the mission is, you are on a Viking longboat out at sea and you're battling Vikings. So hearing the like slow war drums and the oars and the like sea spray and a seagull every now and again, Tim's done an awesome job of recording a kind of a melody, which we're calling the Time Trooper melody. We call it the Infinity just because of the symbol and everything else. And so what he's done is a fantastic job of putting that into war drums, but then also putting it into old ancient Egypt music as well, but obviously at a different tempo. But so it's kind of
familiar,
like
familiar but different, and it's like, I know that.
It's just really cool, and that's what for me was when I thought this is really good. But also we know at the end of certain missions the tension's going to ramp up because you're working against the clock and things like that. So there are some missions where we can change the theme and feel and tempo of the music to suit the mission, which might start out really easy, but then we know it's going to end quite difficult. So we can change that. And some missions where you're against the clock, we can have it speeding up and that. So whilst it's cool that everyone listens to music, I think there's definitely a future where publishers are putting content out there for you to play with their games to be in the right mood set. So a great example would be if a horror game came out. If you're playing your own soundtracks, you know when the scary bits are in that. But if I give you a soundtrack to play with a horror game, there's going to be jump scare moments in that soundtrack, which are going to scare you because you don't know they're coming. So playing that with the game, I think there's just a world of possibilities that we can do as board game publishers, which we're not using music for yet. So definitely this is something we'll look into more. And it makes us stand out a little bit more as well. It makes the game definitely more immersive. But if you don't like it, it's not your vibe, you don't have to use it. It's not going to change. There's no speech, there's no instructions. It's just pure music to immerse yourself a little bit more.
You're not going to go around people's houses then and demand that they listen to it. It's like, no! The speaker just literally like, don't listen to this. We put a lot of work into it.
I will be checking, but I think most people will give it a go, because I'll say like if 80% of people listen to music, those that don't, that's not a problem.
It's optional, right?
It's fine, But I think it's really good, and I'm really proud of this. Tim's done a fantastic job. Hopefully we've set you up with some, so hopefully we can you can play some on the podcast and people can have a little sample.
Let's do that right now, and rather than talk about sound, which is always difficult to do, let's just play a little snippet for people to get a taste of what they can expect when they get their copy at home and they've got the soundtrack going on. So let's do that now. Fantastic. Well, that's awesome to be able to give that to the listeners and potential backers of the game. So yeah, thank you for that, Lee, for sharing that with us. Awesome. Any other things you want to mention about Time Troopers?
No, just that everything's included in the game. We don't do deluxe versions, so you will get the game, the playmat, the music, everything's included.
I love the fact you're putting a playmat in there. That's just amazing. Like, here you go, playmat included.
Yeah, and again, it's going back to what we want people to have, what we want people to enjoy solo gamers. So we could have made a little bit more money by charging people an add-on for a playmat, but I don't want people robbed of the opportunity of playing the game that we want them to play. So everything is in the box that we want you to have. So that's why we don't do the add-ons and things. The other thing is the game's finished. So the more complex we make it for ourselves by doing extra add-ons and stretch goals and things like that, it makes the campaign longer. So we're very kind of basic in as much as we've designed a game. It's really cool. Please come and buy it. Yeah. And we have this old-fashioned kind of attitude of, if you give us some money through crowdfunding, we should give you a game in 12 to 16 weeks. It's a really novel concept that we've invented.
Exactly. But I love that. So if people like come and back you today, and you should, you said what, 12 to 16 weeks. So is this the projected turnaround then?
Yeah, so the game's finished. As I said, we've got some spelling mistakes we keep spotting bits and pieces, but this is not a back this game and in 3 years, if the wind's blowing in the right direction, you might get a copy. This is the files are already with the manufacturer, and we've done some proof runs and everything else. So, what we like to do is to work our end and get it finished before it goes on to crowdfunding, and then we have a very short window. So Flippers, for example, was 2 weeks. So Flippers funded three or 4 weeks ago, and people were picking up their copies at Expo.
Fantastic.
To fulfillment, because we've done the work up front. And the other thing is the finance guy in me. I want to know what the numbers are. The only way I can work out the numbers is to finish the game.
Yeah, always have too many variables. And you say, I don't know where this is. Yeah,
especially with the way transport and shipping and tariffs and everything else is now. So I don't want to be one of those companies that has to go to its backers and say, we've made an error. Can you give me another 30 quid, please? So it also just means that once someone's backed one of our games, they're much more inclined to back another one because they know they're going to get it quite quickly.
Yeah, I love that. I just love that model. I think it's really good that you're kind of taking that stand. And here's the finished game. If you love it, then you can get it soon, rather than here's a game that we think is going to be great, and if you love it, you might get it in 3 years, and it might happen, and it might, and it might not. And we see that a lot in crowdfunding. So to kind of go against the grain in the fact that actually you want to turn this around for people to get it in their hands sooner rather than later is you're not going to hear any complaints from anybody, for sure.
I think Rob will be happy, definitely.
Rob will be ecstatic, and Rob will be listening to this for sure, and he'll be quaking in his little boots, waiting to get his copy. So awesome. I mean, we'll put all the details of the Gamefound page in the show notes. So if people are driving going, I must look at that thing, what is the link? Just check the show notes out. It will be there, and you can click away and look at the page and get to know a bit more about it and stuff like that. Have you got any kind of videos on the kind of how to play or more videos of play stuff without, obviously it's going to be difficult because you don't want to spoil anything, but
so what we're doing is the first 3 levels are going to be up there, and there's going to be some we'll some artwork and some cards so that people can see like an example from each era. Nice. But definitely don't want to spoil the story. There's puzzles and things in there as well, which I'm not going to tell too much about. There may be some secret envelopes and bits going on as well, which again I don't want to tell too much people about. But we're gamers, so we've made stuff that we think's cool, and we've seen the games that we think people will like, and we've put little nods to that in this as well. There'll be some videos. We're doing those on Monday today without breaking any boundaries. So we're doing that in 2 days. We're recording those, so they'll be up on the Gamefound page as well.
Fantastic, cool. Well, thanks for chatting around Time Troopers, and I really kind of wish you guys all the success in it because you deserve it. It's a cracking game, and I think Rob's obviously itching to get a copy. I'm just going to help him out the way because I want to play. So there we go. Last question that we'll ask of you, Lee, is what are you looking forward to other than your Time Troopers related stuff? But what's coming up for you and Molinarius Games without obviously spoiling anything, but generally any kind of games coming up? What's exciting? What's coming down the track?
I'm really excited about the direction of the company and how it's growing, but also bringing new people into the team. So it's not just me. So seeing Mike Peacock's kind of 2 years ago, he came to our stand at Expo and said, I've got an idea for a game. And now he has 2 published games and they're going to Gen Con and, we're nominated for awards and things like that. So seeing kind of working with brand new game designers is really cool. We've got a game coming up called Little Frankenstein for Halloween by Omar Azim, who's, again, he's been working with us. He was on our stand. Fantastic, talented guy. So watch this space for him. And there's a couple of other licensing things we've got in the background. So potentially we could come to Games Expo next year with another 5 to 7 new titles, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
So
that's cool.
So I'm excited about the way we're progressing as a company, but also I'm excited about people's personal journeys within the team, like Mike, and seeing how he's developing. And just like after Expo, we had a beer and everyone's like beaming and going, I can't believe we've sold all these games. And we still have that little kind of fraud inside us of going, it's like we're a real company, but we are a real company, but it doesn't feel like it. Sometimes it just feels like a bunch of mates having a laugh. So I'm really excited to see how Omar's game develops and if we can bring 1 or 2 other games into the stable as well and work with some new designers, definitely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Lee, and chatting all around your company, Time Troopers, and all that stuff. It's been a blast to kind of get into it with you. And as I said, wish you all the best with everything. And go and smash it, mate.
No, thank you. I listen to your podcast all the time, as you know, and so it's great to be on it. It's another goal ticked, I think.
Yes, yes. Put these on your haul. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you. Bye.
And there we have it. Thanks to Lee for chatting with us for this episode. It's been great fun. So if you've enjoyed what you've heard today, then please like, subscribe, and get involved in our socials. We're on pretty much most of them by now. And if you want to get involved, then send us some messages and we'll get back to you. Also, we always ask if you can share the podcast with a friend, family, or another member of your board gaming group. And we like to get the word of whose turn is it anyway out there as best as we can. And if you want to support the show, we are on Ko-fi, K-O-F-I, and we love all the support that we get from our current supporters. And if you want to help the show and keep us going, then we greatly, greatly appreciate it. But other than that, all that's left to say is whose turn is it anyway?